here since 3 o'clock. He's out there.
Yeah, did it come?
Had it come.
Sir, I got
Your friends.
I'll say
Well, good afternoon and welcome. It is 4:30, and there being a quorum of council, I call the City Council Strategic Planning Meeting of September 13th, 2022 to order. And due to a delay in arrival, we're going to go to item 2 first, which is the residential development projects discussion, and Lisa Steinwinter will present this.
Alrighty, good evening. I'm Lisa Steinwinter, Director of Planning and Development with the City of Monroe, and I would like to bring before you a request to consider and discuss or provide discussion on currently approved residential development projects. In early August, Mayor and City Council requested an item be placed on the September Strategic City Council agenda to discuss currently approved residential development projects due to the number of questions and comments that were being received by the community. Planning and Development has prepared a presentation that will provide an overview of the currently approved residential development projects. Today's presentation, I will provide a brief history of residential growth, go over 2 forms of residential development approval processes, summarize the residential development approvals, and then introduce a new interactive development map. So according to the North Carolina Office of State Budget, the City of Monroe's population is currently 34,562. From 2010 to 2020, the city grew about 5.4%. And Monroe, if all of you are aware, is one of 14 municipalities within the county. And Monroe is number 12th on the growth chart. So why did Monroe only grow 5.4% in 10 years? These are just some of the items that planning felt that may have been the reasons due to the lack of growth. There were no new residential subdivisions from 2007 to 2015. We did have a downturn in the economy. We had limited density, no greater than 2 units per acre. Possibly school districts, and then of course our competition amongst the other municipalities that abut Mecklenburg County. So why is Monroe experiencing new residential growth starting in 2016? And of course these are just some of our predictions, increasing the economy. The Monroe Expressway played a big part in that opened in November 2018 because it increased the mobility and capacity in the US 74 corridor by allowing regional travel while maintaining access to the properties along Highway 74. We also had an update to our growth and development plan, or our vision of how we grow and develop for the next 20, 30 years. That was the For Monroe process, is the update to the land use plan that some of you are aware of. And then, of course, one unique factor about the city that I think a lot of people tend to forget sometimes is we all are a small city, but we operate like a large city because we are a full-service city. We have our own electric and gas, water and sewer, and we also have all the services that is needed for development and provided to cities like police, fire, building standards, erosion control. And then the Western Union County, they've experienced tremendous growth, and they're of course still growing today, but it's moving this way, so it's Monroe's time to grow as well. So all residential development goes through a development approval process. The development approval process considers whether or not to grant permission to proceed with the proposed development. A proposed residential development can undergo 2 types of development approval processes. One is a by right, which is administrative or a staff level approval process. And then the other one is a discretionary or site-specific rezoning approval process that is conducted and reviewed and approved by City Council. So there are 2 forms of approval process. The administrative or by right approval is granted when residential development proposal conforms to zoning and building codes and qualifies for construction without requiring a special or discretionary approval. It's typically rule-based approach, clearly outlines the permitted uses, the shape and density at a parcel level in that specific district the parcel is located on. It's reviewed administratively by staff, and of course, as I mentioned, it doesn't require special review and discretionary approval by City Council. The other development approval process is what you're familiar with and see quite frequently on a monthly basis now, is the discretionary or site-specific rezoning approval when it's required when proposed development does not conform to existing zoning and requests a deviation from ordinance standards. The site-specific rezoning creates its own set of ordinance standards and uses for a particular parcel. It does allow the applicants to request deviations from the ordinance or allows the city place conditions on the project that exceed the ordinance requirements. Some of these deviations that the developer may ask for are smaller lot sizes, increased density. Some conditions that the city has asked for is exterior materials, house sizes, and so forth. Those are just some examples. A condition may be proposed by the applicant, staff member, or a review authority and must be accepted by the applicant and the city to become binding. So it's a mutually agreed upon approval process. And just to kind of point out, all the residential development projects except for 4 that we'll be discussing today has required that discretionary approval by City Council. So just to go over the residential development projects and a brief summary of them, there are about 6 projects that were approved prior to 2010. All of them are single-family detached. There are 4 that are currently under construction and 2 that are in construction drawing plan review. All of these, of course, did require a discretionary City Council approval. So 3 were under construction prior to 2010 and 3 were approved before 2010 that just started back under construction. New residential development projects from 2016 to 2022. This is the kind of facts for that. There were 38 new residential projects that were approved. All were under the old Unified Development Ordinance. Project types, there's 4 multifamily and 34 single family. There's approximately 20 under construction. 3 are going through the construction drawing plan review phase. 8 are not active and 1 is built out. There were 4 that were a by right approval or administrative staff level approval, and 34 were the site-specific rezoning or the discretionary approval by City Council. We do have several mixed-use developments that have been approved. One is an old one prior to 2010, and then there are 4 new ones. All of these are also under the old Unified Development Ordinance. Project types are single-family and commercial, multifamily and commercial, and then single-family, multifamily, and commercial. 1 is under construction, and 3 is in the construction drawing plan review phase. We do have several pending residential development submittals. 6 submittals are under the old zoning ordinance, and there is 1 new submittal since April that is falling under our new Unified Development Ordinance. 6 of them are single family and 1 is multifamily. 1's under construction, actually 1's in construction plan review, and 6 is still going through the rezoning process that will come before you to review and approve those if you so choose to. This is well, just to back up, Planning and Development's goals has been to create an interactive development map that provides all current development projects on our city website. We have not been able to do that due to staff resources, and we realize it's a little more expertise than what just our department can handle alone. So Planning and Development has partnered with the Geographic Information System Division that's housed in the Information Technology Department to develop a interactive web-based map that will display all the current development projects. And I'm just gonna try to go over those. or kind of introduce that to you. Just give me a second. So this is the new interactive development map that has been partnered with Planning and Development and the GIS division in information technology. Just going to go over a few things on the map, and this will be located on the Planning and Development's website. It is still under construction because right now we don't have the commercial projects included. We have all of the residential and all of the mixed-use projects that are included. And then each one of these that are colored on the map have a subpage with additional information. There's about 40 of them. We've not been able to create all the subpages. So once again, it is under construction, but just to kind of briefly go over it, this is your legend. It has the different city developments. These are all currently approved projects. You have your legends with your roads, your city limits, ETJ. As you zoom into the map, you'll notice that new icons will pop up in your legend. The structures, parcels, schools, fire departments, and so forth. And then you can also add a base map too, if you want to aerial photograph. You can search here by project name or address. I'm just going to go to a couple projects. This is one of the projects that each one of them does include a pop-up that gives you basic information about the project name, project type, number of lots, acres, the status of the project, the decision, whether it was city council approval or staff level approval, and then the date that it was approved. And then eventually all of them will have a link here that will take you to another subpage. And the subpage Planning and Development is still working on some of these. That one didn't quite work exactly, but it provides additional information, the location of the project, a site plan, and if you click on the site plan, it will open a big one, the elevations, and then other basic information, the developer, the engineering firm, and then who to contact. This is one other one that we do have all the subpage attached. So once again, we have about 40 subpages still to create in Planning and Development, and so we're still working on those, and we will work to include the commercial projects too, but that is all I have for residential development projects. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer, or if would like to see anything additional on the map.
Is there a way to add the historic district overlay?
Yes, I think we can. It will probably so it doesn't get bogged down. When you zoom in a little closer, it probably will pop up. We can try to make that work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Lisa and staff.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Did
No problem.
a very good job on that. Okay, sorry. Yeah, now we'll go to item 1, which is a committee update on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'll recognize the chairperson of that committee, Saluda Anthony, if she'll present that for us, please.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes. We're pleased to give you an update on DEI. And before we get it, I'd like to ask all the members here in support to please stand. This is a group of the first members from the DEI. Very quickly, we just say who you are.
Landon Lancaster, Senior Pastor, Central United Methodist Church.
I'll give it to Tucker Attorney. Benita Sanders, I'm the Director of Excel Enrichment
Tiffany Wilson, an attorney here.
I'm Melissa McCowan, I'm the CEO of the Community Shelter.
Michael Hall, retired.
Dr. Swindell is retired.
James Samuel, consultant.
Jan Barton, also a consultant with Insight.
So we're very pleased to have with us tonight Dr. James Samuel and Jan. That's Jan Barton is our co-partner. As you know, or you may not know, Dr. Samuel facilitated our conversation over racism. From that, the DEI committee was formed. We've made some great strides. We still have lots of things to do, lots of learning to do. But now, presenting to Dr. Samuel, and he will give his own predictions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. I am Jan Barton. This is James Samuel. We appreciate your time and attention as we talk about the efficacy of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm going to turn it over to James for the presentation.
Thank you, Jan. And thank you, Saluda. Honorable Mayor, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, honorable members of the council. Again, I'm James Samuel, and this is my business partner, Jan Barton. We are from the Insight Consultants. We are happy for this opportunity to be able to be asked to say a few words, if you will, concerning the importance of supporting, developing, and promoting a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative here in the city of Monroe. To begin, I would like to suggest that any attempt to explain the impact of DEI on the future growth, development, and well-being of the city of Monroe and every other American community is nearly impossible to be overstated. If we were to give proper context to the importance of DEI on the future growth and development of this community, we would need to look back in time in order to create the proper perspective to reflect upon the significance that DEI will have on our future. To do so would be equal to speaking to a pre-industrial council on the future implications of the steam engine. To do so would be synonymous with speaking to a pre-flight committee on the future impact of the airplane. To do so would be tantamount to speaking to a pre-computer corporation on the future influence of the internet. What I'm saying is that as Americans, our future is going to be significantly different than our past. The nation and the world we live in is rapidly becoming different from what it was even just a few decades ago. Rapid changes are no longer our exception. Rapid change is indeed our norm. There are changes in industries, technologies, municipalities, and communities like Monroe. But the greatest change we contend is a change we face in learning how to create a community, a nation, and a world where each and every kindred, every kith, and every kind of human being feels acknowledged, respected, included, and valued for who they are, for what they are, and for whatever they are. DEI teaches each of us to make conscious choices as human beings, but it also leads us to discover the unconscious challenges that we all have when it comes to being human. We at Interscope once read a saying, "Become the change you want to see in the world." Council, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, in a real sense, some of us are endeavoring to embrace this bromide, but we are not empowered to completely embody it. But you are. In a real sense, few of us will ever have the position, the privilege, or the power to make the changes in this community that DEI embodies. But you do. In a real sense, the members of this community and committee cannot sanction DEI as an invaluable asset within the city of Monroe, but you can. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in his book entitled Where Do We Go From Here? Community of Chaos, warned that we, as an inclusive community, we will either need to learn to live together as neighbors, or we will eventually die together as fools. End of quote. I say unto you, the development and management of DEI is not just another important initiative. It is. It is more than that. DEI is the single most demographically driven imperative of our lifetimes. The 2020 census contains proof positive that our America, within the next 20 years, will be a nation where we all are minorities. This demographic fact is insurmountable in its importance. It compels us to prepare and to plan for such a community. Because in a nation where the historical zero-sum exploitation of our differences has provided advantages for some while prescribing disadvantages for others. The goal of learning how to live together after so many centuries in this nation of being forced and mandated to live apart is not an easy task. But we at Interscope Consulting, we who value DEI, and we who are members of this committee, and we are sure that you are as well, we are committed to being equal to the task. In fact, we know that it will be hard. It will be greater than hard. It will be virtually impossible unless we devote ourselves to personal learnings and visionary leadership so inclined. Statistics have proven that organizations, groups, corporations, communities, wherein DEI is valued actually become more progressive, more creative, more efficient, and more successful than their counterparts. So as Dr. King asked, where do we go from here? Only you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, only you have the position, only you have the privilege, only you have the power to decide where do we go from here. DEI can only become a reality through the support of leaders like you who are willing to help others like us acquire the awareness, the knowledge, and the skills that we need to understand that our differences need not be our disadvantages. At Insight Consulting, Jan and I and others for nearly 3 decades have worked in promoting the value of DEI. Our clients are from coast to coast, from border to border, and indeed international. At Insight Consulting, we believe and have demonstrated through our work that differences can become our greatest strengths, but only if we're truly willing to do the work which is required to make it so. I say unto you, the members of the committee has already begun to do the work. This committee has done great work and have developed a DEI statement that is already been presented, I believe, to you for approval. That statement reads, this is the DEI statement, and I quote, "The city of Monroe is committed to ensuring that barriers of inequality are removed, that all voices are heard. We will develop and improve socioeconomic opportunities. We pledge to promote open and inclusive conversations to foster cultural sensitivity that creates a sense of belonging," end of quote. In closing, I say to you, as the elected leaders of our community, and at such a time as this, history will record the decision that you make. History will record that when you were faced with undeniable evidence that we need a DEI initiative, that the city council and the mayor and the leadership, the municipal leadership, was asked to make either one or two decisions. Either embrace the value of DEI by vision, or you will eventually embrace the value of DEI by pain. Vision or pain. Those who wait until the painful experiences of denial forces them to acknowledge the significant price that they will pay for their short-sightedness will indeed be far too late. Diversity is an inevitability that cannot be denied. But those who are preveniently envisioned to value DEI by vision will reap the untold benefits and rewards of their proactive leadership. Some may ask, what are the rewards and benefits of valuing DEI? Namely, they are profound. First, DEI prepares the community for the changing demographics. Secondly, DEI will improve the investment that this community has made in human capital. Thirdly, DEI will increase the profitability of everything that this city endeavors. Fourthly, DEI will promote the sustainability of this community and every organizational arm thereof. Fifth and lastly, DEI will enhance the organizational effectiveness throughout this community. We appeal to you, our city leaders, to continue to provide supportive leadership to this DEI committee and the dedicated members whom you just met, who've already laid the foundation for the continued development of a DEI initiative. This initiative, we are convinced at Masterpiece, and we've worked with global clients, that your DEI committee has already done the heavy lifting in order to make DEI a masterpiece for the city of Monroe and a model for the progressive-minded municipalities throughout this nation. As we wait your decision, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, we leave you with a quote from James Baldwin. Not everything we face can be changed, but nothing can be changed until we face it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel and Ms. Baldwin.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. We actually shared with you what DEI is, what it can be, and we're grateful that he came to share with you. We're at a point where we're still learning and growing. At some point, we need to come back to you to present you a budget as well. We need some more facilitation. It's new to us as well, and so we're like baby stumbling. So we're up on our knees now trying to walk. So expect to hear from us in the next 2 months with a budget and a plan of where we're going from there with our projects. And let me recognize Freddie too. Freddie is on the committee as well. Dr. Tate is in the hospital now, so he is not here with us. He is our co-chair. I like to thank the members of the committee who all came to support. Now, I don't know if anyone want to say why you joined anything. I know we only got a little bit amount of time, we don't want to go over. But have you any questions?
I thought the speech was very well done. Excellent speech.
So,
We do have a minute left on our time frame, so I'll beg the mayor if he would allow me just to make. Now, we have started out with a group of people in this discussion on racism, and that was whittled down to a committee of the size of about 25. And sadly, like a lot of other things, everybody doesn't stay active and involved. But we do have a good core group, a lot of them that you've had the opportunity to meet here today, and they're vigilant in their attendance at our meetings, and we thank them for that. So we'd like to ask for the city council's approval to lower this number so we could attain a quorum more frequently and vote on some things more frequently. And the number that we're probably thinking about is somewhere in the neighborhood of about half, or about 12. Some have even suggested that we would be willing to go along with some of the council's desires to change our number to a number of 7, which had been recommended by the council before. So that's one thing I'd like to bring up.
Freddie,
Yes.
I move we accept that.
Thank you, thank you.
Was that, did you make the motion and Lynn second? Okay.
That's fine.
What's the number?
Yeah.
Actually,
7.
the number is 14, so won't be so hard to make a call.
Okay. So
Because
we'll
I'm thinking,
replace it to 14.
if we go to 7, I don't want to exclude anybody. I mean,
Right.
we
Well, that.
have a nice group here, and I'd like to, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to get off the committee.
We appreciate that, and we understand, and I'd like to go along with Saluta's recommendation of 14.
You got it.
I'll second that.
All right?
Okay. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by raising your hand, please. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And so we can go with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, Dr. Samuel.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, committee members, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for coming.
We hate to run.
We understand.
Hey, girl.
And now Lisa will bring us up to date on our preliminary fund balance.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, I want to provide some preliminary details on the city's general fund balance calculation as of August 31st, 2022. It's preliminary. The audit is still underway, but the numbers should not move significantly. We've submitted, all of our reports and don't expect any surprises at this point. So we have to begin at June 30th to be able to calculate this fund balance. As of June 30th, the total fund balance is $36,483,149. This is broken up into several different categories: non-spendable, restricted, assigned, and unassigned. I'm going to detail each one of them for you so you can gain an understanding of how we have to allocate our money around. Non-spendable fund balance are the city's inventories and our prepaid bills. So you can't spend your inventory, so it's just considered non-spendable. Restricted fund balance. These are restricted by an outside force. So state statute governs most of these. Restricted by state statute, there's a calculation that the statute spells out how the city has to come up with that $9.5 million. We enter all the amounts into their calculation and gives us a total, and we have to keep that in our reserve. PAL bill, of course, that's restricted to just the expenses that are allowed under the PAL bill. Public safety, that's some of our drug money that we collect. It's restricted to public safety expenditures. Culture and recreation, that total consists of a few small grants, but it's mostly donations at the theater. And of course, those are restricted for use at our theater. In the building permits revenue, that is restricted for use with only permit staff, the inspections department. So, there was excess collections last year due to a really busy year of permitting, and we'll keep that in reserve, and that'll fund future years as needed. Assigned fund balance. The assigned fund balance are assignments that are put in place by you, the council. The city's fund balance policy is adopted by council, and there's the calculation of that is down below with the little number 1. The fiscal year 2023 adopted budget, less our one-time federal and state grants, gives us a net, and 25% of that is what we're charged to reserve. So that's our fund if we have some catastrophic event, if we have a hurricane, a big ice storm. This is money that we can tap into, just when we need to, with your authority and your approval. Subsequent years' expenditures, that is simply the money that was appropriated during the budget process this past year. So we took money out of fund balance to help fund some of the projects and purchases that we're making in fiscal year 2023. So that money is coming away from the fund balance. That's a reserve. And then the formal assignments are also voted by council. We have 2 categories that are listed down on the bottom there. One is airport grant acceptance. We try to utilize that money whenever we have grant matches or different projects that have come up at the airport. And the downtown projects still has $2.5 million in it. A lot of that was earmarked for different parking improvements. Part of it was one-way design for the street conversion. And that's it for assigned fund balance. And then the unassigned fund balance is what you see common appropriations from when we bring budget amendments during the year for your approval. The unassigned fund balance as of June 30th is just below 1.8 million. That's really the lowest we've been in quite a number of years. Of course, we've allocated a lot of the money out of our unassigned fund balance for different projects, different overruns that have happened due to the market right now. Market conditions turned sour and some of the projects had overruns. We have also appropriated a small amount of that since July 1st. I've listed those out. We have incentive program. Those are typical for coming from fund balance. We had a correction, was a larger item to the MUSIG contract. We simply put the wrong amount in when we did the budget and we needed to correct it. Unspent appropriations are just that. Money that was assigned for different projects that weren't complete. We roll those forward so that we can complete them in the new year. So as of August 31st, we have just shy of $1.4 million in that unassigned fund balance. We've discussed, we're not in dire straits. This is not terrible, but we want to let the dust settle on the projects that we've got. Hopefully some of the money that's in the projects will come back to the fund balance. Hopefully we'll come in under budget in a few of them. Also, we want to just take a cautious approach. We don't want to keep hitting this. Let's, just try to maintain this for the remainder of the year and really only hit it if it's a dire need. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
As always, Lisa, thank you and your staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
What, I would just say that we hear you.
Yeah.
And I would ask for everyone to adhere to her words, wise words. Don't blow it. Keep it till the bitter end if we can.
Yeah, try to let it, but we'll try to let it build back up.
I've already asked department heads to withhold those
They'll get tired of hearing it, I'm sure.
requests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll now recess the meeting until 6 o'clock. Thank you everyone for attending.
Let's go have some of that possum pie.